welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I've decided to cover the topic of PCSing. It is like it's a big topic, I guess, in military, and a lot of people honestly are kind of don't know much about PCSing. I know my husband gets lots of questions, and this is my husband for the first time ever. His name is Kenny. Say hi.
Hello.
So I have him here for some input on like the military side and then my aspect of being like the spouse. So let's talk about getting your orders. Like what officially happens like when you get your orders. Like say you get BOP. What is like BOP and all that fun stuff?
So BOP is your basic preference, pretty much. You'll hear your military people talking about your dream sheet. That's pretty much what that is.
Do you get like a certain amount allotted on a dream sheet?
You are allowed to pick up to 8 bases, stateside bases.
And so stateside is considered anywhere within the continental
United States, so the 48 states. Alaska and Hawaii counts as overseas.
And how many do you get overseas?
Overseas, that's a completely different ball game. You have the overseas list that comes out quarterly, and you can apply for those.
So you can pick your basic preference, but you can't pick where you want to go overseas. You just have to put in for a job and hope you get it.
Yeah, every quarter there'll be a list of overseas bases and how many people they need at each base, and then you just pick out of those. Like you make a dream sheet out of that list, and then hopefully you get picked up for it.
And then if you don't, then
you don't.
Then you don't. All right. So if you know you're, like, say you get one of your basic preferences,
yep,
then that's amazing because that's, of course, where you want to go and you already have, granted, looked into that location. But, like, most of the time, you don't typically get a basic preference. It's normally just dropped on you, correct?
Pretty much.
So is there usually, like, a time frame that you get for?
BOP, you have... Depends on if you're a first-term airman or career airman. You have to have a certain amount of time on base before you're even allowed to apply.
Okay, so let's rewind that back for all our maybe new people here. What is a first-term airman versus a careerman?
So first-term airman is you're in your first enlistment. So that enlistment that you initially sign up for military for, while you're in that enlistment, you're considered a first-term airman. Once you
Re-enlist?
Yeah. Once you re-enlist, you are no longer first airman. You're now a career airman because you're in your second enlistment. And yeah. So for the rest of your career, you'll be a career airman.
So like if you enlist for 4 years and you decide to like you don't want to re-enlist, you're a first-term airman. But let's just say you decide to re-enlist for the 2-year extension, then you're now considered a career airman, correct?
Yep. Okay.
So let's just say you're dropped. You have no idea that you're getting these orders. That's how it was for us coming to Minot. Like all of a sudden everybody started getting orders, like cop-wise. Everybody started getting orders to Minot and we're like, oh, why don't we go check? And it was right after the birth of our second son, Cameron. And lo and behold, he had that lovely email. So you normally get an email when the orders come through.
Yeah, you'll get an email, or if you're checking on virtual MPF, there'll be a big notification that says you got selected for orders. Or if you got a really cool commander and a cool command staff, commanders get your orders a week before you are notified. So if you got a really cool command staff, they'll let you know ahead of time, like, hey, I just saw your orders, prepare to get them.
But like on the spousal side, we don't really know of anything. It's just your husband comes home. It's like, oh, by the way, we're leaving. Is there like a time frame normally? Like say you get your orders. Is there like a time frame you have to like when you typically leave? Or is it just dependent on when they need you?
It always varies. Cops wise, since now they have the Code 50, the controlled tour, depending on when your controlled tour ends, that's when you're going to leave. If you don't have controlled tours, it's just getting orders, and it can vary to 6 months after you receive orders to 8 months, 4 months. It varies.
Okay. Well, that's nice to know. Okay, so say because we got one of our basic preferences, which was quite lovely. So we kind of knew the location of the area where we were going to be moving to was either going to be South Carolina, Georgia, or Florida. Those were our bases, and surprisingly, like, what did you get? What was your number of the base?
Number 4.
Number 4. Like, we didn't get our first pick, but it was still on the list, which was a little odd to me, which is kind of a blessing in disguise. I kind of think about it that we actually got this base, but that's another whole tangent anyways. So the first thing I recommend, let's just say you get your base of preference or you get dropped orders, like just right out of the sky. I always recommend you look up where you're going. You like coming from Louisiana to North Dakota. I've never been in a freezing cold state before. My husband grew up in Pennsylvania, so he's kind of used. Why am I waving your pen around? He's used to the cold weather, but not, I guess you could say, am I not cold, right?
Nowhere close.
Nowhere close. So me coming from like the South, I grew up in Cuba and then Louisiana, and then it's like, oh, by the way, you get orders to North Dakota. We're an hour from Canada, freezing cold, so it's like you got to prepare. It's like, well, crap, schooling. So say you like back in Louisiana, there was no school off base, and depending on where you lived on base depended on which school you were zoned to. What, right?
No.
I think that's how it worked, to be honest with you. And then here there
I think they got the option
to go where they wanted.
On base, they're like, here's the surrounding schools. You can pick.
You just pick. Okay. Well, here, because we're so freaking far away, there's 2 elementary schools on base and 1 middle school, and then after that you go downtown for high school. So depending on where you live on base, Ace, can we calm down? Can we calm down? Depending where you live on base, would decide if you go to elementary school 1 or elementary school 2, and then of course everybody goes to the same middle school and then downtown. He's just chilling. He's fine. He'll be okay. So definitely, I know that can be a big factor for parents, especially if you're going to be living off base. You want to find the best school that you can, and then if you plan on living off base and buying a house or renting, then you know you want to be in that school zone. So make sure you shop for your school first and then shop for your house so you're in that zone. Otherwise, I think it's like paperwork you have to fill out, but I'm not 100% positive on that one. Housing. So, good old housing. You can move on base, and then everything is pretty much taken care of for you. They take your BAH and you never see it at all. Mm-hmm. They cover your electricity, all your utilities, lawn care, maintenance throughout the house. You get special benefits, of course, being off base. Then off base, you're close to all the amenities. You look like you're about to say something. No? And then, of course, if you live off base, then sometimes you can save money by living off base, I guess you would say, depending on your BAH rate and depending on the rate that you get for your rent or housing. And you can... You look like you want to say something. What is the whole dual military thing?
Dual military, if you're both in the military. So whoever's the highest rank, they will get the BAH as a dependent, and the lower rank will get BAH as if they were single.
That's a whole other topic I do not even want to touch on because that is just...
Free money.
Yeah. So it's definitely something to consider. I know with our next location where we're moving to, that's where we plan on living out the rest of our lives. So we thought it'd be beneficial to have BAH go towards a mortgage over living on base. So that's all so much fun. Okay, pets. So if you go overseas, and I think it's Hawaii too. Hawaii and overseas, it's expensive to bring your pets along. And I know a lot of families either go through like foster systems for their pets, right? Something like that. No, I'm the only one who knows about this.
I just know some places you can bring your pet. You just have a lot of paperwork and
it's expensive.
Update vaccines and all
You
that
have to
stuff.
quarantine them.
Travel
It's-
and all that stuff.
Like some people can, it's like 5 to 10 grand just for maybe even a single pet. It's a lot of money. Well, from people I've heard, it's a lot. So it's definitely something to look into, especially if you get orders overseas. If it would be worth taking your pet. Okay. Okay. So the next thing I want to touch base on is medical. So there are different regions of TRICARE. You have the ones that I know of are TRICARE East, TRICARE West, and I know there's...
There's the South.
Huh?
I think there's the
No,
South.
they just broke it down to East and West.
Oh. You know more than me.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the only ones I'm going to touch base on. I'll include links down below of, like, beneficial if you're going overseas to what that's going to be, because I honestly have no idea. I just know of East and West. So, because currently we are in TRICARE West, and when we PCS, we're going to be in TRICARE East. TRICARE West is under HealthNet Federal Services, and TRICARE East is under Humana. So, when you are PCSing, you, isn't that on your checklist?
I'll process my group. Yeah.
Well, like deers and stuff.
Probably.
I thought you looked at that already.
Probably.
You said that was on your checklist.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Deers.
Deers. Yep.
You updated deers.
Yep.
You've already updated deers.
Yep.
That you're PCSing.
Yep.
To new duty location.
All I had to do is, they have us do is verify all the information in Deers is correct and print it off. That's it.
That you're going to be PCSing?
I don't remember if I had anything about PCS. They just make sure all your information on there is correct. Your
Okay.
name, your spouses, your kids.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. So, when you PCS, I don't know how it is for other locations, but when, I'm just going to talk off of here in Minot. When you get orders and you're PCSing, what you're going to have to do, say you're coming to the base, you're going to have to update DEERS. So you'll have to update DEERS. There's a 60-day grace period of updating DEERS of your new location, so that is updated. Once you're out of the 60 days, you are liable for any and all bills that come into contact with you. And then you have to call TRICARE and let them know that you need to be enrolled with a different PCM, because of course your PCM will change from base to base. And then you have to go to the med group and they get you registered into their system. At least that is here in Minot. I don't know. It might be similar to every single base. I honestly have no idea.
Probably.
Probably? You think
Probably.
so? So, when you are PCSing medical-wise, what you are going to want to do is, like I said, get into contact with DEERS once you have moved to your new duty location and let them know where you're at. So that way, like I said, it is updated. Then you need to call TRICARE, whether you are in the West region, the East region, or whatever region you're going to be at. You need to get into contact with them to get that updated as well. Following that, you need to go to your local med group, unless it's different, to get registered into their system. So that way you'll continue receiving care that you need. When you PCS, you have the option, except for active duty military members, as dependents, we have the option if we would like to stay prime or if we want to go to select. So what the difference between those two is prime, everything is covered on.
Not standard anymore.
It's select.
Oh, standard.
Well, select, standard, and whatever. Same difference. It's the same word for the most part.
Sure.
Yeah. You made me lose my train of thought. I was going on a spiel. Okay. I I got it back. Okay, so as dependent, you have the option to decide if you want to stay prime or go to select. The difference between the two is everything is covered under prime. Everything. You never have to pay a dime out of pocket. And your travel expenses will be covered if they send you to a facility outside of their range. When you are a dependent, you can be seen at urgent care or you can be seen at the ER without having the need to get a referral being prime. I'm not 100% positive being select. But when you're active duty, you have to go see your PCM in any and all circumstances. If you go to the ER, it has to be for the loss of potential life, limb, or eyesight. Other than that, you will receive a bill and you may be at risk for having to pay that out of pocket, unfortunately. So that's definitely something to consider dependent-wise. Like I said, active duty members, they don't get a say-so. It's always going to be prime. Oh. What's wrong with him? Mm-hmm. So if you're going to, like, I think he probably wants to play with Liam. And Liam doesn't want to play with him.
Probably.
He's always so busy.
But
Okay. I think that's all I have for medical. Oh. So TRICARE Select, you will have a PCM that is off base, and they can refer you to different specialties as needed, but you will also have to pay expenses out of pocket. So that's pretty much the only difference, and travel will not be covered like it is with Prime. I think that's right. Okay, so now that we've covered all the nitty-gritty little details, I think for the most part, I think now we're gonna talk about traveling to your next duty location and what all that entails. So I'm gonna start it off, and if I mix up or get things wrong, please just interject and be like, you're wrong. So, if I'm 100% correct, what they do is they calculate the miles between the two locations, and then you can only travel what? Don't they? 8 hours. So because you can only travel 8 hours a day, they take that into calculation, and then they divide it, and then you get X amount of days. Yep. We get 4 travel days.
I think so. 4 or 5. 4,
I think.
I don't know. It says on your orders how many you're allowed.
Yeah, so they'll give you so many days because you can only travel, like my husband just said, 8 hours a day, because anything over 8 hours puts you at a greater risk of causing accidents, and they don't want to see that happen. Here, scoot over. I just love you, and I just want to love you. Okay, so when you are traveling down, all your food expenses will be covered, and all your hotel expenses will be covered. That's what the GTC is for. It's the government travel card. You put it all on that. Make sure you keep all your receipts. If you don't have receipts, then you're just shit out of luck. Correct?
Yeah. At all costs, try not to use it though.
At all costs. Why?
Because just use your actual bank cards, so then all the per diem just comes right to your wall. You don't have to worry about paying the credit card off.
Oh.
No matter, you get the per diem no matter what. So if you use your personal bank account, it would come out of your personal bank account, but after you do the travel voucher, when you get to your new duty location, you're still going to receive all that money. So you can set it up to either go to the GTC to pay it, or you can just send it all to your personal bank account. Usually, like, just put lodging on GTC and all your meals and everything, put that on your personal. Or put everything on your personal, so that you just receive all the money and you don't have to pay off the GTC card.
Yeah, but it has to be within those, like,
whatever they allow you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are we talking about travel days or expense wise?
Depends. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. But
yes, you only get the per diem and the lodging for the travel days.
Okay.
That's it.
that's where I was going with that one. Okay. All right. So you're traveling down there, and let's just say you want to take a vacation. Leave en route. I don't know about that topic. That's why I brought you along. So what is that? What is leave en route?
So leaving route pretty much. So when you say you're allowed at 4 days of travel.
You don't look at the camera, do you?
No. So if you're allowed like
Why?
4 days of travel and like you took 10 days of travel. So when you go to in process, they'll see, oh, you took 10 days. So you'll get those 4 free days, and then they'll take 6 days of leave out of your leave because you took longer than the days of travel. So they just take it out of your leave. So there's your leave en route.
Okay. And well, that's pretty fast. And what about house hunting days? Like, say you move to your next day location and you want to buy a house.
As soon as you get in process your unit, you just tell like your command section or whoever you're reporting to, or you can talk to your first sergeant like, hey, I want to take my house hunting days, and you get 10 free duty days for house hunting.
When it doesn't get taken out of your...
Nope, it's free days.
Free days. Huh. That's something interesting. Huh. And then, like, typically you have, I guess this is the last thing I'll touch on, your report no later than date. So it's usually the last day of the month.
Last day of the month.
The last day of the month. So you can leave like in the middle of the month if you want to, as long as you're there by your report no later than date.
Yep. So travel always starts the first day of the month, and then that's when you can officially start traveling. It's the first day of the month, and you have to, in process, show up to your unit by the last day of the month.
Okay, so let's just say you leave the first of the month.
Yep.
And you get there within your 4 days.
Yep.
Do you have to immediately start in processing?
You don't have to, but it's usually a good idea because there's a lot of stuff to do for in processing. So it's a pretty good idea. Just at least show up. Because if you plan on still taking some time, just show up that first day and say you want to take your 10 house hunting days. And they're like, all right, see you in 10 duty days.
Oh, speaking of moving. Speaking of, like, moving. Like, there's a, what are they, Diddy moves?
You can, well, yeah, you can have the moving company move you, or you can do a Diddy move, which is you do it yourself.
It's a full or a partial, right?
Yeah, you do it all, or you can partially, or do partial.
So, the moving company, you have to set that up with TMO, correct? And they get all that scheduled.
No matter, even if you're going to do a Diddy, you have to do the forms online first, and then all that paperwork goes through TMO, so so they know if they have to hire a moving company, or they know that you're doing it yourself.
So what's the difference between like a move it yourself? So you get the expenses back?
So yeah, pretty much you get whatever you want to use. Those big moving company vans, so U-Hauls or whatever. So you would take that U-Haul empty, you go to like a weigh station, so that's what TMO comes in. They'll give you a list of information where to go for a weigh station. You'll weigh it, you have a ticket, and then you'll load up the U-Haul, and then you weigh it again, and then those 2 receipts go when you done moving in process. Those get filed so that then you'll get paid for it's like weight and all that stuff considered, how much weight you moved. So they'll pay you off of that. I
just prefer the moving company to do. I mean, granted, if you have a moving company do it, please take pictures of all your belongings. Either take pictures or video, so that way they know and you can...
Hey, Mom.
Yes.
It's still very rainy.
It is very rainy outside.
I have to wear my jacket.
We're not going outside in that.
Oh.
It's cold and rainy.
Yeah. And cloudy.
That it is, baby. So that way you can mark it down. Depending on which company you go with, you can just like type it in and put the amount of what your piece that they broke is worth, and usually they'll give it back to you, or sometimes they give you a partial amount. It just depends. And sometimes, like our moving company, they didn't need pictures or anything. They just wanted what was broken, the number, and then how much that item is worth. But I know some moving companies want actual photos of it. And
Usually depends on what it is.
yeah.
Like if it's a TV, they're gonna want pictures and stuff like that. High price items, they're gonna want pictures.
Yeah. So much fun.
But those with the Diddy move, so when you do the U-Haul, you weigh it empty, and then when you load it all up, you go to weigh. Have a bunch of your friends come with stuff too, because no one watches you weigh it. So bring like 4 or 5 friends with stuffs in their vehicles and just keep piling onto the truck to increase that weight so you get more money. Because all it is, you go to like a truck stop or whatever that has those big weigh machines.
Hashtag cheat the system.
So no one watches you or they don't take inventory of what you're bringing or everything. So bring a bunch of friends and keep loading it until you can't fit anything else in that vehicle. And then print the receipt and you're good, and then your buddies can take their stuff back and you'll get more money.
Or you could do like share vehicle with a friend. Can't you do that?
What?
Like share a moving truck?
You do that too. If you got a buddy going to the same place, but you would want to do two. You would want them to do one, and you can use the same truck, and you get a bunch of shit, and then just use that same receipt for both of you, so you both get the same amount of money.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But that's cheating the system.
Or you want to be honest and only do what you did, and then okay.
And if you want the money,
Yeah, why not?
you know, guess what it is.
Yep.
High five on that answer. Yeah. All right. So, do you have anything else that we may have forgotten or can think about? Nothing that I can think about or think I forgot.
Just whenever you get your out processing checklist, just do stuff as far in advance as possible so you're not at the last minute trying to rush to get everything done. Once you're able to do something, do it.
And if you know you're going to be taking like the 4 days or X amount of days, I say line up like hotels along the way, so that way they're already pre-prepared. But that's kind of a gimme, but you never know who doesn't know. Or if you plan on driving straight through, some people do, then you can do that too. But definitely plan ahead as best you can, because you never know what can happen.
When you do your finance brief for PCSing, they'll tell you how much your per diem is going to be and how much you're going to be allotted for lodging, so you'll know in advance of what you can use when looking to buy hotels. And finance won't tell you about this, but DLA, it's free money. It's like depending on your rank, you get like a free $2,000.
What does DLA stand for?
Dislocation allowance.
What is dislocation allowance?
Pretty much just money to help you like get started at your new duty location, because there's usually a lot of expenses and stuff like that. Finance won't tell you about it. You have to ask for it.
Did you ask for it?
Yes, because someone told me about it. I went to finance. I'm like, hey, I want to get my DLA. They're like, okay.
Oh, so you're getting it?
Well, I haven't done it yet. I'm talking about Barpsville.
What about here?
Yeah, when it gets closer to the time. So like right around when you do that finance brief, that like bring up like I wanted to do DLA for my PCS. And it takes like, after you fill out the paperwork, it's like 3 duty days later it'll be in your bank account.
Huh.
And it depends on your rank and if you have dependents. I know ours, when we left E4 with dependents, I think it was like $2,000 or $2,100. It's just free money.
Nice.
So of course finance will not tell you about it. You have to ask for it.
Because they don't want to give out that money.
Yep.
Anything valuable that you want to take with you. Like pack it in your car, get a little trailer, do what you got to do. So that way you have it. Also, pack necessities that you need at your next location, because with the current like code 50 now, there are a lot of like home goods. How am I trying to explain this? Like, say, do you know how I'm trying to explain this? Say because TMO was so backed up, PCS season, and with the whole code 50 thing of cops relocating, that was horrible.
Good problem anymore.
But say your report, you were supposed to leave, give me like September, but TMO is so backed up they can't come get your stuff until
like people that are, so PCS season is usually like May to August, the summer months. Usually even not code 50 control towards just regular orders. That's when orders drop are in the summer. So usually if you got like report earlier dates in June, if you don't schedule far enough in advance, if you wait until like April or May to schedule TMO and the movers, they might already be full, and then they might not be able to come to like July, so then you gotta move a report no later than back, and that's just a whole nother process.
So just get your shit done
Soon,
early.
As soon
Early.
as you receive orders, go on the website and do the TMO. That should be like the first thing you do. And even like if TMO says they'll give you like a moving company, and they'll be like, oh, they're so backed up. Usually you can call. They'll tell you what moving company it is, and then give them a phone number for them. You can call that moving company and like, hey, TMO says you're this far back up. Is that true, or could you do this? And they're like, oh no, we have availabilities. We can do it earlier.
So call, because you never know.
Yeah, if you're pressed on time. If you're golden and everything works out what you want, and it all works out.
I just like pulled her eye open. Poor baby. Oh, little scars from Ace being so mean. Anything else? No. I will leave all links that might be useful to you down in the description box below. I hope you enjoyed our lovely little PCS video. So yeah, like I said, questions, comments, leave them down below. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.